If you've been browsing Amazon recently looking for audio amplifiers, you've probably come across one of these. It's a mini amplifier. The one I have here is the LP-838, which claims to be a 200 watt 2.1 audio amplifier. But can it live up to those claims? Well, let's find out. I bought this amplifier a couple of months ago when my hi-fi finally stopped working. I started browsing Amazon for new amplifiers. Already having some speakers, I just wanted a standalone amplifier, and I came across this mini amplifier. The speakers I have behind me, which I now have the amplifier hooked up to, are 50 watt speakers. This amplifier, as I said before, claims to be a 200 watt amplifier. The amplifier arrived in a cheap looking cardboard box, which to be fair was nothing more than I had expected. In the box was the amplifier itself, a power adapter, and a little green plug which you can wire to the subwoofer to plug in a subwoofer into the back of the amplifier. The amplifier itself actually looks very nice, in my opinion. It has a sleek, brushed metal look on the front, and on the front you can find the following: a power LED, a knob to adjust the volume of the subwoofer, another LED which comes on when the subwoofer is active, a 3.5mm jack input, a knob to adjust the treble, a knob to adjust the bass, and lastly, the volume knob. Moving around to the back of the amp, you can find RCA left and right inputs, the bass output, the left and right speaker outputs, and finally, the DC power inputs. After taking it out of the box, I wired it up to my 50 watt speakers that you can see behind me. I turned it on, and after setting the EQ, I started testing it. I'm actually pretty impressed by the sound quality of this amplifier. It's fairly clear, and despite having a slight hissing sound, which isn't really anything more or less than I had expected, it's perfectly usable in my opinion. I was really impressed with this amplifier. The only negative thing I had to say after purchasing this amplifier and using it for a couple of days was the fact that the left and right outputs are wired up the wrong way, meaning the left output outputs right channel audio and the right channel outputs left channel audio. But other than that, it is a perfectly usable piece of equipment, and I am very, very happy with it. Cut to a few weeks after this purchase, and I am still quite impressed with this amplifier. I've been using it for 2 weeks and it's working really well, so I decided that I'd get another one. Now, unfortunately, this is where things start to go downhill. I immediately noticed something was different when the amplifier arrived. The box was a completely different size. I immediately knew that there was absolutely no way that there was going to be a power adapter in there, and upon opening it, I found I was correct. All that was in the box was the amplifier. But this wasn't the only issue. The front of the amplifier had scratches, not just the brushed metal look, but had scratches down it. The volume knob occasionally crackles when you turn it, and also if you go around to the back of the amplifier, the speaker outputs look like they have had the entire weight of the amplifier forced on them when it's been dropped. And as well as that, the outputs for the speakers are still wired the wrong way round, something that I presume was just a fault with my model, but it would appear that they have very poor quality control. Other than the fault with the volume knob, it still works as an amplifier, so I decided to bite the bullet, and instead of sending it back and waiting all that time for another one to be sent back to me or waiting for a refund, I decided to buy a power adapter separately. But unfortunately, this is not the end of the story. A few days later, I decided, because I don't know that much about audio equipment, I decided to look up whether or not a 200 watt rating on an amplifier means 200 watt per speaker or 200 watt overall, meaning 100 watt per speaker. Now, I consulted my friend and he confirmed that it was 100 watt per speaker. However, in between him getting back to me, I decided to look at the questions section on Amazon, and I found this review. Rubbish. 200 watt my Arsene Wenger. This amplifier is labelled 12 volts at 2 amps max, clearly in the picture, making it 24 watts maximum consumption, equals only 12 watts per channel minus usually 50% heat loss, is about 6 watts audio per channel, and they do get bloody hot. Now at first when I read this review, I thought, this can't be right. It clearly is labelled a 200 watt amplifier. However, upon doing the calculations myself, I found out actually this is accurate. Now I have no way of actually measuring this from my amplifier because I don't own a multimeter. However, I can confirm that if I put my hand on it right now, well actually right now, it's kind of stupid, it's not that warm. But when it's been on for a while, it does get quite warm. So in conclusion, Would I recommend that you go out and buy this particular mini amplifier? No, I obviously wouldn't. Can I say that you shouldn't buy any mini amplifier? Well, not conclusively. However, they are all cheaply manufactured in China from what I can tell, and designed in China as well. They all use pretty much exactly the same shell, or very similar. You can get several with this exact same shell, claiming to be made by different manufacturers. They probably have identical inners. So I think they're just mass produced in some factory somewhere and then just shipped out. And the quality control, like I said, is horrendous. I mean, if you have got 8-watt speakers, then maybe this is fine, but these two speakers are 50 watts. I personally am going to risk it because I got them second hand for a tenner. But if I'd spent a significant amount of money on these speakers, I would not want to hook up this amplifier. So again, in conclusion, don't buy one. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.